Oh man, sometimes I hate being right. Okay, so I guess at this point it is safe to say that the bull trap has been confirmed. We are now pushing our way through this fair market value gap to the downside that we were talking about, for the past few days here, or pretty much all this week. So now it looks like the time where price is starting to accumulate some orders and buys within this level. I'm expecting us to sort of trickle down, trickle down, trickle down. Asia may come in, give us a little bit more bearish activity, so be prepared for that. We did warn you guys that this was on the incoming, so we're going to talk about it today. Take a look at some real levels that may actually start to support price. But right now, we're really keying in on both the sentiment as well as the Bitcoin futures, right? We'll also take a look at liquidations today because there were some people that got knocked out of the market pretty rough when it came down to, a lot of this downwards action. This was very aggressive this morning, guys. Starting at 9 a.m., New York came in and said, sell everything. And that's basically what they did. Not a major drop, but, 2 to 3% on a day. Not really anything to, bat an eye at when it comes to, things like Bitcoin. But it is felt, right? And I think a lot of people did feel this downward movement today. But again, not too surprising. All right, so we're going to take a look at a few things today to give us an idea on where Bitcoin may turn around. And also we'll take a look at a few alts. And if you don't know who I am, it's your boy Maestro. Thanks for tuning in to The Long and Short. Let's go. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So we're taking a look at the Bitcoin 1 hour chart here, and the best place for you to kind of find these fair market value gaps, to me, it seems to be on the 1 hour. You can go to higher time frames and try to find them as well, but they're typically not always there on things like the daily or the 4 hour. You can find them, but they're very far and few in between. This is where we will probably start our analysis, for lower time frame type trading, swinging, scalping, that type of thing. We're going to start on the 1 hour, okay? Now, we pointed this fair market value gap out, and it's a pretty large one. You can also see it on the daily. So, if we were to scroll out there, you can see it on the daily as well. But when it comes down to it, guys, within this time period that we're looking at, right, going into April, we're thinking that there's going to be some volatility. April, May, June are typically really volatile, bullish months for Bitcoin, right? Historically speaking, that's the way it's been. But in order for price to really turn bullish, right, just price action type of theory makes us say to ourselves, price wants to go down before it goes up, right? Now, in yesterday's video, we were thinking that the volatility was going to push the price up. But we were getting a nice little downwards angle here, and we were seeing that price was spiking the volatility and the liquidity to the low side, making us think that you would want to go higher. But in fact, it really didn't. It was just kind of pinging, trying to push its way back into this fair market value gap. So these were attempts to start to push the price down. And today the dam broke, essentially. All right. Now, when the dam broke, it happened right at the 9 a.m. hour in New York. So it seemed like it was a pretty coordinated move. They gave us a nice up candle around the 8 a.m. hour. Then 9 a.m. opened and everyone started selling everything Bitcoin related. All right. Now, we told you guys, just as fast as the institutional money comes in, it can get pulled out. And this is part of what we were seeing today. So what are we thinking is going to happen at this point, right? We think that in between this fair market value gap, price may start to consolidate a little bit, right? You may start to set up almost like a range here within this area. Now, if that is the case, then we can play the range. It's a smaller range sitting somewhere between 45.8 and maybe 44.8, right? So about $1,000 worth of a range. Price could swing there over the weekend. It can sit still over Friday, but this is essentially why we're calling it a bull trap. Everyone that got excited on this upwards movement and probably this candle and this candle, that brought buyers in at the top. So anyone who bought pretty much over 47K, they got trapped, okay? And those are the people who we were calling the bulls and trying to tell you, be on the lookout because you do have some areas down here that price may want to go to. Will price fall further? That's a relevant question at this point. In my opinion, it could. And there are some levels that we're looking at because you also have 1 hour fair market value gaps and imbalances here at around 43,073, as well as 41,1888. All right. After that, there really aren't any other areas for price that it could want to retrace to for the fair market value gap reason, with the exception of maybe around 37,882, which I think would probably push us way back into, you know, way negative sentiment, 15%, you know, fear, greed index, that type of thing. Right, so there is an area here that is on a bit of a gap, but this isn't like a CME futures gap. I think this actually took place on like a weekday. Right, so this initially is where that bullish move really started from. There's fair market value gap there, but it's very small. You have two other levels on the upswing, one at 40,722 that did get retraced through, right? So we could take this one off. And the first one, furthest one to the bottom, I think is around the $41,000 level. Next one up is around $43,000 level, okay? And then you're stuck currently in between these two here. So things could get a little bearish, right, over the course of the next couple of weeks. And that would give us the indication that we, you know, are seeing things properly when it comes to the Bitcoin futures, because we did see that a lot of the larger speculators moved back to that zero line in regards to sentiment. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of real levels here, guys, because, you know, the charts are one thing, the order books are another thing, and it's always good to kind of reference both to get an idea of what you're seeing on the charts and whether or not it's actually making sense in real orders, okay? So let's just kind of zoom this out a bit, and, you know, for a proper perspective, we'll just kind of make this look like this for now, okay? So this is that big fair market value gap that we were talking about. And we called out yesterday that there's some levels kind of set here, right? Like if we were to go to the hourly chart, it's a lot easier to see, right? There's some levels set here in between this fair market value gap. That price started to break through. So you do have a floor sitting somewhere around 45,000, right? About 200 Bitcoin worth of orders. And it does seem that this is kind of strengthening, weakening, strengthening, weakening. So this to me is a mix of orders. This is not all long orders. There may actually be some traders that are putting in shorts right here at this level, essentially to break out or break below this fair market value gap. And if you get this really big downwards movement, then yes, that will induce people to try to go short to lower levels, okay? Do I think that we will really get there? I don't really think so, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, you're not really grabbing a lot of liquidity from the top side. When we take a look at liquidations, we're going to see this. You're not grabbing a lot of liquidity from the top side to push the price down, which is the normal price action movement. This is kind of just falling off, right? So will there be some support here? Chances are it could be, right? Now, when we come to our other areas of imbalance, you know, you have one right here around the $43,000 level that we called out. It's just a faint line right now. But believe me, if they break this level down here, this is going to be your next level of support. It's just a lot of area of stop losses for price to go and just gather steam, gather steam, gather steam. But somewhere within this area here, I'm thinking between this first fair market value gap and the second one here is where you're going to find your support for Bitcoin. All right. Meaning there's probably still some pain to go in this market. Will it be immediate pain? I'm not really sure, right? I'm erring against immediate pain just simply because price will maybe want to swing around in a range before it goes a little bit lower. Now, if we swing in a range and there's a lot of buyers that start to set up longs at the bottom of that range, it may spike those longs, right? Kind of take those stop losses out and then boom, proceed higher because they'll have the fuel to do so. But these are all scenarios that we're going to have to watch play out, I guess, within the next few days to really get an understanding of where price may want to turn up. All right, but you can see here on the volume profile, you know, 9 a.m. hour pretty much kicked price down for the rest of the day. And New York did not come back in the afternoon session to reverse anything. If anything, they just kind of set us still. All right, so when it comes to real levels, guys, the ones to watch, 50,000, 48,000, which was a level that we called out the other day. You know, those are your resistance levels at the moment, okay? Now they're starting to set one up a bit, not so much, maybe around 47.6, but that to me right now really isn't a level. 48,000 is the major resistance to watch first, and then 50K after that. Your support should be somewhere around 45, okay? This is the current level right now that we're seeing on this chart that has the most orders, and you can see they're starting to block up some orders here. Right, so whether or not these orders are long or short, again, is anyone's guess. But typically things below price action are longer orders, right? Long orders to see price go up higher. And this is where you're going to get your reactions from. Will it be something that turns price right around on a dime? I'm not really sure. You may also consolidate in these areas, in these ranges, and spike into this liquidity a few times before price makes its decision. All right, below that, you are looking at areas somewhere around the $41,000, $43,000 level, as we mentioned before, which is where your fair market value gaps are currently sitting. All right, guys, so unfortunately, this was a confirmed bull trap. Unless price just launches up out of here, guys, anyone that got in over around 47,000 will probably close their position, which will confirm the trap. All right, as price falls lower, that will be what they do. Let's take a look at the Fear and Greed Index here on Gate.io, currently sitting at normal. I'm assuming that by tomorrow, this will go back into the fear territory because of the dramatic price fall today. All right, take a look at liquidations within the past hour, right? It's been around $6.34 million, and that's up probably in the past 20, 30 minutes since I've looked at that. Past 24 hours is around $46 million worth of liquidations that have happened. Okay, guys, so things are looking fairly bearish. I'm not going to say it's the end of the world. You know, a 2 to 3% drop in Bitcoin again, we can sneeze at that, carry on the next day, go back on a bullish run. And that will, you know, kind of negate all of the negative feelings that people had today. But we're not going to say that this was not expected, guys. We did kind of see this coming. All right. Number of different reasons, and Bitcoin futures is primarily the one, right? So Bitcoin futures is primarily the reason why we were aiming more bearish in regards to price action movement. Okay. So when we take a look at this here, again, the stacking is still there for the 9 to 18 EMA. But price is starting to trace back down into it, as you guys can see, right? Had two sort of sideways days, angled downwards, and now today the dam broke a little bit, but we're tracing back into this CME futures gap. So once we fill that's at around 45, let's say their gap starts, I would say somewhere around 45,404. You still may crash through a few levels lower than that, kind of touch off of this 9 EMA and then push higher. That's the best case scenario when it comes to Bitcoin. If it can't turn around here, then that's the area where we're looking for it to turn around, somewhere in that space. All right, now, the thing that is giving us still sort of a wait and see type of attitude when it comes to this is the larger speculators. So again, the green line is your larger speculators, the blue line is your smaller retail speculators, and the red line is your commercials that are essentially serving up whatever side of the market either wants to buy or sell. So we can see that the commercials are net short right now, which is not necessarily a bad thing for price. Commercials being net short means that they are selling to the buyers, right? You want the buyers to be the larger institutions, which is the green line. The correlation here is not promising for us. We do want to see this green line sort of either sit flat and push up or maintain itself somewhere above this zero line. Because if the larger speculators flip to net short, that could mean a lot more pain in this market, right? And especially if the commercials start to flip up and go net long, because essentially the largest speculators are the ones who are driving the Bitcoin price at the moment. There's not enough retail attention focused into specific coins like Bitcoin itself to push it above whatever larger speculators are doing. So for example, when you have a crypto market that is investing in a number of different things, right? People buy Bitcoin, people buy Ethereum, people buy Cardano, people buy NFTs, people buy metaverse land, people buy all these type of things that are crypto related. So when you have a separated market when it comes down to it, now mind you, Bitcoin is taking the majority of the market cap when it comes to this, right? But a lot of that now is the larger institutional money. It's not necessarily the retail investor, because to be honest with you guys, most retail investors think, to be real with you, that they have to buy an entire Bitcoin. Ask anybody that you know that's relatively new to this space. If they haven't invested in Bitcoin yet, ask them this question: why not? And chances are, if you get into a deep enough conversation, they'll say, I don't have enough money to buy an entire Bitcoin, but I can buy a lot of, Dogecoin. That's the type of thing that people will say to you. But that's just a basic misunderstanding of, just the Satoshi model, right? And the fact that you can buy fractions of a Bitcoin itself, and how that right there gets you in the game. So rather than buy one whole Bitcoin in their mind that they need to obtain, they'll go and buy an NFT, right? Which is something that's tangible for them that they think that they have a hold value with. And that's what's bringing people into these different spaces. There's just so many different options in crypto right now, which is why the retail speculators aren't able to push something like Bitcoin or something like Ethereum into the stratosphere against the whims of larger institutions. So I hope that makes sense for you guys, when it comes down to it. This is also why I think we really haven't gone into a bear market yet, because a bear market is going to clear the field of a lot of these coins, projects, and different things that has the market all spread out at this moment, right? A real bear market's going to clear the field for a lot of that. And the ones that survive are the ones that will sort of see that influx of market cap coming back again. And that's when you'll see the retail sort of overwhelm whatever it is that the larger speculators are doing. Also looking at the elder ray, things are starting to flip a little bit more bearish here, but the bulls still have some power in this market, right? But it's the bulls that are essentially getting liquidated. It's the bulls that are in losing positions at this moment. So if the larger institutions continue to push downward, they're going to bring a lot of retail with them and people will start to turn bearish again. The money flow index sees money coming out, but the open interest remains high. Whether this open interest is for long or short positions, I think we're starting to see some of that materialize on the market right now. It could take the majority or at least half of April for us to run these down moves out before we see more bullish activity. Again, April, May, June, typically bullish months for Bitcoin, but nothing is guaranteed in this market, as I'm sure all you guys know. All right, so that's the story when it comes down to it, guys. Overall, we're thinking that things may turn a bit bearish, but they won't be catastrophically bearish. We're going to go down to maybe revisit the $41,000 level at the worst case scenario, right? Anything breaking below that, guys, then we're going to have to start to take a different perspective in regards to what we're seeing in this market. Again, macroeconomic issues do matter. Another meeting for the FOMC is coming up soon, okay? You do have the Russia-Ukraine conflict that doesn't seem to be, getting any cooler. It's just seeming to drag on. And so there's a lot of uncertainty still in the market. Do you need to clear this uncertainty out before things get better? Yes, you do still have inflation. You do still have a mixed market. You do still have investors pretty much trying to figure out where they want to put things. All right. And that is what's leading to a lot of these movements in the market. Right. And it's really easy for institutions to set traders up. All people really need to see is a lot of up movement to go into something before the institutions say, okay, let's turn it around right now at this point. Right. And even the commitment of traders is going to show you that. Right. Bring retail traders in. Right. Bring them in. And then look what they'll do. They'll follow you guys. Right. Because they always say, follow the smart money. Well, whenever you follow the smart money, guys, the smart money is going to lead you down a path and then they're going to fork off from whatever they were doing at that moment. And if you're not smart enough to follow them at that point, you'll continue to go down that path, which is why we said a bull trap is essentially being set up. They set the trap, then they turned it right around and said, have fun, everybody. We're going short. All right. So unfortunately, this is the way that the market will play. If you're smart enough to understand things like fair market value gaps, grabs of liquidity, why things should be happening with price, okay? Because to me, this downwards movement, bit abnormal, okay? You're spiking liquidity to the downside. You should be seeing a move up, not down. But they wanted to push it here, guys, and this is what they did to come back and fill this gap. All right, so when you're able to identify things like this, you can get ahead of whatever the largest speculators are doing, and they peep their hand here on commitment to traders. They always tend to do that. All right. Since we've been doing this channel, you can go back and look at videos in January. They peeped their hand. We called the bullish movement a few weeks ago that we got here. Actually, it was about a week ago when we called that bullish movement, right? We can call the pumps, we can call the dumps. And it's all about what we're seeing on the chart in relation to what the largest speculators are doing on the commitment to traders, all right? And a few other factors that we like to talk about. But when it comes down to it, guys, that's pretty much it when it comes to Bitcoin. Total market cap, again, over that 1.876 trillion. You're not getting a major dump off into anything, guys. And again, you have the same type of fair market value gaps on the total market cap as you have on Bitcoin, right? So this just gives us more credence to say, if Bitcoin's going to fall, then the total market cap, it's going to go along with that because Bitcoin has about 40+% of the total market cap at this point. So what Bitcoin does, the total market cap will do, as well as additional alts. All right. So we'll take a look at a few alts and see what this drop looked like today for those as well. Let's take a look at Ethereum. All right. First start off with Bitcoin actually. All right. And we're just going to take a look at the scale in, scale out zones here. And, zoom this back out to the daily because that's probably your best perspective there when it comes down to these charts here. All right, so again, price sort of ran through a scale out zone, starting to come back down under it. But again, just proving the point to you guys over and over again that these are the places, right, where price is going to start to make some moves. And now, if we take a look at the daily, right, this is very interesting. You see how we set this fair market value gap here, and then they just kind of started the next one pretty much midway through the old one that they left, right? This is the way that price is going to move. We know that price moves fairly aggressive. We can just take a look at this and say, anytime price breaks around 45 on the way up, it's going to move fast, right? And anytime it breaks, say 45.5 on the way down, it's going to move pretty fast. So a $45,000 level is a very volatile level when it comes to Bitcoin, right? It's either going to reject price or it's going to launch price up or push price down. All right, so these are little insights that we can gather in from placing these lines here, which is around 44 or 45,500, right? So, just getting some insight here, guys. You can take a look at this and see that even though Bitcoin sort of broke out of this range, it may be working its way to kind of push back within it. Once it fills this gap here, I think we may be able to see some more bullish activity, though, just based on the previous price action, right? That's what we want to see. If price were to break down a little bit more, then that would fall more in line with the normal Fibonacci retracement, right? So let's just pull a fib real quick, take it from the bottom daily here to the top, and let's just drag this out like this to see. So like your golden pocket sitting somewhere around 41 to 40,000, which if does fall in line with the lowest level of fair market, gap value that you have there at that level of around 41, right? So what we're doing is we're building confluence to say, if price were to fall, like the heaviest fall that we could think of, what's the lowest level that we think price will go to? Right now, it's seeming like around 41,000. Hopefully, we find some saving grace somewhere around the $45,000 level, okay? So that's Bitcoin. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Also had a pretty nasty drop today, but nothing catastrophic, nothing major. But as you guys can see, you do have these fair market value gaps here as well on Ethereum. That price may want to come back down to. But again, if you're playing the long game, guys, scale in to scale out, you are definitely up in profit right now when it comes to ETH. Even with this, 2 to 3% drop that you've had today, you're making some money if you're buying anywhere in that discount zone when it comes to Ethereum. Luna broke out all-time high. And remember what we said, guys, when things break out of an all-time high, they're going to start to retrace. It's almost a given, okay? So you have one high set here, another high broken, grab that liquidity, push the price down. You do have fair market value gaps to the lower side here, right? So I think that Luna is still going to maintain itself in these higher premium zones, which is why we will need to draw additional levels here for discount and bargain, so that in case if price were to take a bit of a dump, we know exactly where to get in. And right now, we think that anything under a $53 Terra Luna is a good buy for you in a discount zone. All right. Not sure when it's going to go there, if it will ever go there again. But, people say things like Bitcoin will never go to 30,000 again. And then it goes to 30,000 like 2 weeks later. And then they have to eat those words. Here's one thing you should always remember, folks. Crypto can go anywhere. All right. There is no defined rules, and this is why we don't call out a lot of levels unless they're solid and we can see them and find confluence in many different ways. That's the only way we're going to call out a level. We're not going to flip up every other day and look at a brand new indicator or, brand new tweet from some guy that tells us this is the level now. No, you're just going to confuse yourself. Find solid levels. Make them make sense in the order book. Make them make sense through the normal techniques that we use on this channel. Liquidity, fair market value. That's all you're looking for. Once you have that and you're able to make the comparison and find correlations between the real order book and what you see on these charts, those are real levels. Trend lines, indicators, all of this other stuff are guesses. They're educated guesses, guys. When you see actual factual things on a chart printed by price action and you can validate them in the order book, that's better than any trend line. That's better than any channel. That's better than any Bart Simpson, Batman pattern, McDonald's pattern, Wendy's pattern. Doesn't matter, okay? Doesn't matter, guys. I'm telling you from experience, find the levels of fair market value and you will see what price will turn around. Look at AVAX, perfect touch to the scale out zone. You see how it just reaches for it and comes right back down, right? So if you bought anywhere in your discount zone, you were able to take these rides up into the low premium zone to take that profit, right? And if in fact you were, say for example, buying at this low, all right? And getting out at the scale out level, that's 50% gains, guys. And that's maybe a matter of less than 3 or 4 weeks that you're making that. All right, so again, if you're interested in how to draw these charts out, if you're interested in how to set these levels for discount, premium, scale in, scale out, go ahead and click that card at the top of the video. There's a full tutorial on how to be a better cryptocurrency trader. And we don't just cover how to draw up these charts. We talk about everything from psychology to, setting up a watch list, building that into a portfolio, how to do some research. We really do cover a lot of different topics there in that tutorial. All right, so check that out if you haven't, and you'll get some better insight as to what we do here. Again, right? Scale out level. They get touched, they get rejected from. How many times you guys got to see this? You got one example here, another example here, another example here, another example here, right? As long as we're buying around the discount area, in the scale-in areas, when we showed you guys how to draw these up, you're in profit, even on days like this. But if you were taking your profit here, guys, right, wouldn't you be happy about that, right? I would assume so, because price did fall pretty dramatically from that level, right? Scale in levels here, both in these discount zones for Chainlink. And again, we think Chainlink's been suppressed. We do think that this is worth a lot more than 17 bucks when it comes down to it, essentially because of the interoperability of the way that this particular crypto fits into essentially all types of other integrations when it comes to crypto. So we think Chainlink has a big future ahead of itself and is being suppressed right now. It's not sexy. Nobody's talking about it. This is the perfect thing for you to get into if you are a crypto fundamentalist. If you haven't checked out Chainlink before, take a look at it. It's something that you would probably want to have in your portfolio. All right. XRP, big dump off, right? And even these scale in zones, right, guys? What you could do, if you see that there are starting to be a pattern developing, right, between scale in, scale out, and you just are kind of stuck between two scale-in zones. Nothing's telling you that you can't turn a scale-in zone into a scale-out zone so that you can make the gains from these touches of the scale-in to scale-out. All right? Now, how much percentage gain is this just within this discount zone? Let's say, for example, you got in right there and you rolled it to the top. That's 24%, guys. Still, you got to recognize we're looking at a daily chart, right? So anything from a scale-in, even to a higher scale-in zone within a discount zone, right? This is still getting you percentage gains, right? And you can see every single crypto that I showed you guys, price touches a line, whether it's a scale in or a scale out line, it's touched the line before it fell. So are we showing you correlations that you can start to believe in a little bit, guys? Every single line that I've touched on, from Bitcoin down to Ethereum, Luna, AVAX, Atom, Link. Now we're on XRP. You're touching the top of a line or touching the bottom of a line and you're rejecting off of it. Let's see what we have for Solana. Not quite there for Solana, but Solana's had a bit of a different character over the past few days. It's really the only thing that's up with the exception of a couple of other cryptos. But if you know anything about this space, Solana's going to dump off when everything else is running. All right. So there's going to be days like that as well, too. But right now, right, you're sort of breaking out of this discount zone. What did we say, guys? Scale in, scale in. These are areas of accumulation, right? Once you break into this low premium zone, though, I would start to take some profits for Solana, somewhere around 133 bucks. Wouldn't hurt you to do that, right? If you're in at the lower levels. When it comes to Polkadot, same kind of thing. Really, you're not touching these levels here. And Polkadot, not as much market cap, not as much involvement as these higher cap cryptos, which is why you're getting more of sort of a depressed price action and you're not really breaking out of your zones. But everything in the top 10 that we just showed you guys, with the exception of what? Chainlink, XRP maybe, Cosmos, right? Everything else, you have that line touch. Harmony 1, that gives us a line touch at a scale-in zone. All right, so buying in at the bottom scale-in zones here, you can probably start to call this a scale-out zone until price really starts to break through here into more low premium areas. All right, guys, every chart's going to be a little bit different. But again, you have a scale-in zone here. Price touched it, came down off of it. CRV, not so much, right? CRV, not so much. You're getting more of a accumulation down in your discount zone. Let's take a look at Sandbox. Nope, still in the discount zone, right? And the characteristics are pretty much the same. Engine token is having a bit of a breakout day according to its movement as compared to things like Sandbox and Mana. So, you guys can see these coins will not all move the same, but based on Bitcoin movement, right? Based on these fair market value gaps, you can get an idea of the tone of the majority of the crypto market. Some things are going to dump hard during the day. Sometimes the day is just completely bloody and everything goes bad. But just these few positive sites here, things like AVAX, things like Solana, right, that are starting to see positive percentages near the end of the very end of the day for the most part, right? This gives us life, right? Data had a nice day at 5%, right? So not everything is down, guys, but if Bitcoin falls, then you will see that fall in the market. And the coins that are correlated to Bitcoin, you have those fair market value gaps aligned and set up on lower areas for their price action as well. So do I think we're going to see another fall? I believe so. I think we're going to start to trade down within this fair market value gap, and you may even see some lower levels, but not necessarily the worst thing in the world. Whenever the market pumps like this, you do need a bit of a breather, and that's why they call these retracements, healthy in the market. So hopefully you guys aren't too down today. It was a bit of a loss. Hopefully you didn't buy the top. We always tell you guys to be careful when price does make these type of extensions like that, because those are usually the best times for you to get wrecked if in fact you are emotionally buying in based on price action movement. And this is a nice setup, guys. Like if we look at this, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days of positive price action. All right. Not going to say that that's unheard of in Bitcoin, because you do have runs like that, but after runs like that, guys, you do have to have a retracement. And if you look at the real runs in Bitcoin, you have more major days following this, which is why we said we wanted to really see bullish activity for the rest of the week if we were in fact going to turn bullish to start chasing another all-time high. So right now, seems like we're still, for the most part, kind of stuck in the range, guys. Right? We're still kind of stuck in the range. And until we really break ourselves out of, I would say, the $50,000 level, which is why I think that there's that big ceiling there, we're going to kind of be stuck in this ping pong effect when it comes to price. All right. But not the worst thing in the world, guys. Bitcoin is still strong in regards to asset. We are still sitting above the $1.876 trillion level that we like to see on total market cap. And so as long as we can maintain that, I think we will be, staying in more of a bullish mindset when it comes to what's happening. Want to see what's happening with the large speculators going into next week. And let's see, guys. Let's see what happens when it comes to price. But our short position right now is still up, and we're going to ride this bad boy until the wheels fall off, or at least until we see a real sign of reversal somewhere within that fair market value gap, if that happens. All right, guys, but that's about it for today. If you have any questions, please remember to leave them in the comment section. If you did learn something today, did get some insight into this market, if you can see that the levels that we're drawing out are making sense for you as well, and you're trying to get away from that normal TA, and I like to call it normal TA, it's traditional TA, right? The trend lines, the chart patterns, that kind of thing, and get a better idea of where price may going and stop guessing, then come on through next time. Hit that bell notification, that subscribe button, that like, and you'll be notified when we drop new videos, all right? It's your boy Maestro. Thank you all for tuning in to The Long and Short. We are up out of here. Peace.